Sinner responds to Carlos Alcaraz after complaints about the ATP calendar. Jannik Sinner also positioned himself regarding the recent complaints about the calendar from Iga Świątek and Carlos Alcaraz, after being asked in the press conference following his title in Beijing. The world number 2 agreed with the Spaniard that there comes a time when you have to miss tournaments, but for him they are mandatory, but in the end you can choose. After winning the second title of his career at the Beijing tournament, Jannik Sinner also weighed in on the complaints from Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Świątek about the tight schedule. The Italian, who will participate in Shanghai where he defends his title, acknowledged the effort required from players who play more matches, reaching the final rounds, like the Spaniard and himself, but later qualified his answer. "Well, I've also missed several tournaments. Last year, for example, I didn't play some. Obviously, it depends on the results. If you go very far, like Carlos this year, where he at least reaches the final every time he plays. Tournaments are also getting longer. The Masters, for example, no longer lasts a week, but practically 2. There comes a time when you have to miss tournaments. I, for example, missed some tournaments last year because I thought it was best for my body and my mind. You can always choose. That's why I say, yes, they are mandatory tournaments, but in the end you can choose. I've always chosen, and I will continue to do what suits me best," explained the player from San Candido. "Last year we managed the season very well. I was able to play very well at the end of the season because I made some decisions in advance, by not playing certain tournaments. I'm not saying it was the right or wrong decision. You never know. It's very difficult, when you're 23 or 24 years old, because you're still young, to really understand your body and your mind, what's the best thing you can do. That's why you try to surround yourself with the right people, someone who can guide you when you need it," described the current world number 2. Carlos Alcaraz harshly criticizes the ATP calendar. The Spaniard said he agreed with Iga Świątek, who also expressed her opinion on so many retirements and injuries of tennis players at this part of the year, like her rival in the WTA 1000 in Beijing, Camila Osorio. "The WTA has made this crazy with all these mandatory rules. It's impossible to fit it into the calendar. I don't think any elite player can achieve it. We have to be smart, not worry too much about the rules and only think about what's healthy for us. It's tough. The only thing I can do now, after deciding that I'm going to play all these mandatory tournaments, is take care of my body and my recovery." In the same vein as Alcaraz, who plans to do whatever is necessary. "To be honest, I have to consider in the future whether I have to skip some mandatory tournaments just to maintain my physical condition and good form. Obviously, it goes beyond physical condition. I think mentally it's also very demanding, playing so many mandatory tournaments in a row or playing so many tournaments without having days to rest mentally. I will consider skipping some mandatory tournaments for my own good. I agree with Iga and I think many players will do it." Carlos Alcaraz announces his biggest change. The Mercian has been forced to modify his roadmap and end his Asian tour. His ankle discomfort does not go away, despite having reached the final in Tokyo. After winning the US Open, Carlos Alcaraz faced the Asian tour with great enthusiasm. And although in Tokyo he lifted his 10th trophy of the year, he has also been forced to stop and suspend his roadmap until further notice. The Spaniard has just confirmed that he will not play the Shanghai Masters 1000, which begins this Wednesday, to recover from the physical discomfort he has been dragging. "I'm disappointed to announce that I won't be able to play the Shanghai Masters 1000 this year. Unfortunately, I've been dragging some physical discomfort and after talking with my team we believe that the best decision is to rest and recover," said the world number 1 in a statement published on social media. "I'm looking forward to playing again in front of the Shanghai fans and I hope to be back soon to see my Chinese fans next year," added the Spanish tennis player, who could see his lead as world number 1 cut with respect to the Italian Jannik Sinner. If the Italian wins in Beijing, where he's playing the final, he will cut 170 points, which could be added to another 200 if he also wins in Shanghai. Even so, Alcaraz would still have a 390-point lead going into the end of the 2025 season. It should be remembered that Alcaraz suffered a serious sprain in his left ankle in his first-round match in Tokyo against Argentine Sebastián Baez and had to play with protection for the rest of the tournament. Now he prefers to get his foot back in shape and heal the injury to face the final stretch of the 2025 season, which he intends to close at the top of the world rankings. Taylor Fritz surrenders to Carlos Alcaraz. Once the final was over and on the court, the American tennis player recognized the superiority of the world number 1. And, in addition, he confessed how much he likes him. "Congratulations to Carlos. He's the world number 1 for a reason. And, on top of that, he's a great guy. Happy for all the success you're having. Despite being left at the gates, at least Fritz leaves Japan having recovered the 4th spot in the official ATP ranking, surpassing Novak Djokovic, who drops back to 5th position. In addition, he could even catch up to Sasha Zverev, who continues in freefall in this 2025. If the German fails to improve in the final stretch of the year, the American could snatch 3rd place from him. Carlos Alcaraz's huge anger with the chair umpire during the Tokyo final. Carlos Alcaraz has been crowned champion of the Tokyo ATP 500 after defeating American Taylor Fritz in the final by a double 6-4. With this victory, the Mercian claimed his 8th title of the year so far and extended what is, without a doubt, his best season as a professional tennis player. With a very powerful and effective game, Carlitos dominated the final from start to finish. In addition, he was able to close the match in time because in the second set he let a 5-2 lead slip away and finished the set with a 6-4 before reaching a possible tiebreak that would have prolonged the match. Beyond Carlitos' strong play and his trademark drop shots, the final hosted a moment of tension between Carlos Alcaraz and chair umpire Fergus Murphy. It happened in the first set, when the Mercian received a warning for taking too long to serve. The reality is that Murphy was starting the 25-second clock too soon, which is supposed to prevent players from delaying too much and get the match going quickly. Alcaraz, when it was time to go to the benches, reproached the umpire for making him serve too quickly, since he barely had time to rest and choose the balls with which he was going to start the next point. Very angry, he told him that he had never played tennis in his life for applying that rule so strictly. Do you think it's normal that I finish a long point at the net and then barely have time to go for the balls without having time to rest? Tell me, do you think it's normal or not? Fine. You've never played tennis in your life. Far from letting that upset take him out of the match, Carlitos stayed focused and took the first set 6-4. It also took him some work because he didn't get his first break until the 6th break point he had. In the second set, with Fritz even needing treatment for muscle pain in his left thigh, Alcaraz's dominance was greater and he got ahead 5-2. However, a series of bad decisions allowed Fritz back into the match and delayed the outcome. Luckily for the Spaniard, he reacted in time and won the title with a double 6-4. Now, with very few days of rest, Alcaraz faces one of the last tournaments of the season, the Shanghai Masters 1000. He arrives as the world number 1, a position he achieved by beating Jannik Sinner in the US Open final and, precisely, the Italian will be his big rival in Shanghai. Novak Djokovic will also participate in the tournament, waiting for Alcaraz or Sinner to lose earlier than expected so he can seize the chance to add another trophy to his overflowing cabinet. Taylor Fritz, after being defeated by Carlos Alcaraz, on top of that, he's a great guy. The Spanish tennis player continued his best season and won in Tokyo against the American. He acknowledged his value. The 2025 Tokyo ATP left one of the most representative images of the current moment in world tennis, the consolidation of Carlos Alcaraz at the top and the sincere recognition of his rivals, in this case from Taylor Fritz, who was defeated by the Mercian. The American, with the sportsmanship that characterizes him, did not hesitate to congratulate the Spaniard as soon as the match ended. Congratulations to Carlos. He's the world number 1 for a reason. And, on top of that, he's a great guy. Happy for all the success you're having, Fritz declared on court, highlighting not only the sporting dimension of Alcaraz's triumph, but also the human value that accompanies it. The words of the American reflect the respect that the Mercian has inspired among his colleagues on the circuit. Fritz, the number 1 in the United States and a reference in the tour, accepted the defeat naturally and with evident admiration for a player who, at just 22 years old, already accumulates historic numbers and in Tokyo once again showed why he is considered the best of the moment. Carlos Alcaraz's thanks. Alcaraz, for his part, responded with an intervention full of emotion and gratitude. His first impulse was to acknowledge the importance of his team, aware that without them he could hardly have closed another triumphant week. My team, I want to thank you for all the work this week. I always say that I am very lucky to have you on my team, around me, allowing me to learn from you. I want to make a special mention, of course, to Juanjo. The work you did to allow me to be in good shape after the ankle sprain in the first round has been incredible. I'm lucky to have you, for the work you've done, and thank you for another incredible week, he expressed clearly. These words are not mere formalities. The Tokyo tournament was marked by the initial concern caused by that ankle sprain suffered in his debut, an episode that left him lying on the court for several minutes. I enjoyed every moment here. Except for the 5 minutes I was on the ground when I sprained my ankle, Alcaraz recalled, still with a mix of relief and humor. The situation, he confessed, was more serious than it seemed from the outside. I had a hard time both mentally and physically, but I found refuge in my team to overcome those hours of doubt. The figure of Juanjo, his physiotherapist, stood out especially in this tournament. The express recovery work allowed Alcaraz not only to keep competing, but to reach his best version in the following days. All the people around me have helped me get to where I am today, even though I didn't start too well, but I'm very happy with the level shown, insisted the Mercian, who at all times expressed his gratitude for the structure that accompanies and supports him.